Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you today about fraction standard NF5, which is that we can interpret multiplication as scaling. This is a little bit of a strange concept, but I think that after we go through it, you'll have a little bit of a better understanding as to what I mean by scaling or resizing. We have two learning targets. One, I can know that scaling or resizing involves multiplication, and I can compare the size of a product to the size of one factor without performing the indicated multiplication. That basically means that we need to walk away from this lesson and from this standard with three understandings. Number one understanding you've been doing it your whole life, multiplying. Since you started multiplying, this has been the concept that when you multiply a number by any other number greater than 1, your answer is going to get bigger. Okay, so if we multiply any number, if you multiply the number 5 times another number that's more than 1, 5 times 3, your product, your answer is going to get bigger. 5 times 3 equals 15. Okay. This also applies to fractions. So if you have 1/2 and you have that half 6 times, you're going to end up with 3 wholes. Okay, so if you have half a pie and half a pie, you've got 6 halves of a pie, you're going to end up with 3 wholes. So when you compare the first factor here, 5, to the ending to the product, your answer gets bigger. Product gets bigger. I'm trying to illustrate here with my pies. They're a little bit kind of sad pies, but they're pies. So if I have 1 pie and I multiply that times 3, I'm going to end up with 3 pies. Obviously, more pies than what I started with. More pie. Yay. That makes us happy, right? We're always happy to have more pie. All right, and the second one, the second takeaway here is that when we multiply any number by a number equal to 1, the answer stays the same. This is not a new concept either. We know that if we multiply any number times 1, you're going to get the same number. So 6 times 1 equals 6, okay? Same. The product is the same. This also applies to fractions equivalent to 1. So if we had 4 times 3/3, we're going to end up with 12/3, which is equal to 4. Okay, so roundabout, in the end, answer stays the same. Product stays the same. So again, back to our pie. If I multiply this pie by 4/4, I'm going to cut my pie. Into 4 slices, but I still have all 4 of them. So essentially, I still have the whole pie. It's just cut into pieces. So when we multiply any number by a number equal to 1, our answer stays the same. Okay, so what we started with, the beginning matches the end. They are the same, whether that's a fraction or a whole number. Now, the new concept in this chapter, or in this section of math this year, that applies to fractions and to decimals, is that when you multiply a number by a fraction less than 1, or in any case, a decimal less than 1, you're going to get an answer that's smaller than what you started with. Because if you have a whole pie and you take half of that pie, you have your whole pie and you multiply it times 1/2, you're only going to have half a pie left over. So here, if you multiply it by a number greater than 1, you're going to get more pie. And if you multiply it by a number equal to 1, your pie stays the same. But if you multiply it by a fraction or decimal less than 1, you have less pie. less pi. That will apply to any numbers. So if we have the number 10 and you multiply it times a half, you are essentially dividing it by 2. You're taking half of the 10. So your answer is going to get smaller. Same thing if you had 6 and you multiplied it times 2/3. 1/3 of 6 is 2. 2/3 is going to be 4. Your answer is going to get smaller. Your product gets smaller. So the idea behind this standard is that you can know this, whether it's going to get bigger or smaller or stay the same without actually having to work it out. Now, can you always work it out? Probably. I can't think of any situation where you're not going to be allowed scratch paper and you're not going to be allowed to work it out. But the idea behind the standard is that you know, oh, well, if I'm multiplying that by something more than 1, it's going to get bigger. If I'm multiplying it by something equivalent to 1, it's going to stay the same. And if I'm multiplying it by something less than 1, my product, my answer is going to be less than what I started with. All right, hope that makes sense. Probably need a little practice with it, but eventually it should. Bye.